because I want us to all enjoy a Coke, today's episode, I wish was sponsored by Coke, but it's not. But we're going to enjoy one together and spill the tea. Actually, spill the Coke? No, because that would be a waste. Spill the tea. Okay, let's chat. I've actually already decorated my entire apartment. It's been decorated since probably after Halloween, to be honest. Having your own space and, like, you are the person that gets to decide if you want to decorate. Like, nobody has a say on whether or not you want to decorate. I feel like now that I'm of age that, like, this is my own space and, like, I'm the one who calls all the shots around this joint, I fear that I'm an early decorator, and I've never been that way, ever. I've always been the girl that's like, oh, well, let's just wait until, after Thanksgiving, or let's just wait till December, or let's just wait and wait and wait. But, like, this year, I got my butt in high gear, and I decorated. When I tell you I decorated, like, this apartment is, like, booked to the nines with all of the gingham, all of the Christmas decor, all of the nutcrackers and the Christmas trees, and Tim Allen. Let me just tell you guys, my favorite Christmas movie ever is Tim Allen. The Tim Allen Christmas Santa Claus movies are my favorite. You cannot tell me that there's a better Santa Claus out there than Tim Allen himself. And so all around my apartment, I went to Walgreens and printed out these prints of Tim Allen in the Santa Claus movies and put them in frames all over the apartment. So not only are you getting the holiday spirit of seeing Santa everywhere, but you're also getting Tim Allen, which I think is a win-win, to be quite honest. Hey y'all, it's me, Caspi. Welcome back to episode 3. Today, let's chat all things healing, taking care of yourself, and controlling the narrative. Remember, your story has a purpose, you can do hard things, and this is all not for nothing. So here is the tea that everybody's been waiting on. So there's no tea. I don't have any tea to spill with you, but I do have truth. So let's spill the truth, I guess. Something that I've been navigating recently, obviously, is singleness. Like, nobody's surprised there, like, big shocker, you're single. But I really wanted to share some truth that I found throughout my singleness that I think that might help somebody else that's going through a singleness season, or maybe is newly single, or maybe has been single for a while, or maybe is like in and out of relationships. And if that's you, that's completely normal. It's okay to kind of see what you like, see what you don't like, whatever. There's this stigma around Christian dating of like, oh, well, if you're dating and you're a Christian, then you have to be with that person for such a long time, and like you can't like explore other options. Like, I'm here to tell you, like, to be the first one to say, like, you're gonna date an array of people in your life, and it's normal, and it's okay to date an array of people, like, to find out, like, do you like this person, do you not, like, whatever. That's why you save sex for marriage, so that you can go on all these dates and, like, kind of test it out and be like, do I like going out to eat with you at a restaurant, do I not, do I like your family, do I not, all of these things. It's completely normal, and it's actually under normalized. Like, I feel like we should be normalizing that more, you know what I mean? So I also think that it's important to note here that with dating being under normalized and with us not talking about dating as much and stuff, I think it's important to recognize how we should be dating. As Christians, we are called to a higher standard of purity, of cleanliness, of dating with good intentions, with dating to get to know the other person, to either love the other person or, hey, I really like you as a friend and I really enjoy being your friend, and I think that's all that there is here. That's okay. Like, you can go out on a date and not continue to date them for the long term and just figure out your friends. You know what I mean? Like, that's normal. And I think this culture of Christianity these days is like, oh my gosh, well, if I went out on a date with him, then I have to go on 50 more and, we're set for life and all this stuff. That's not true. You can go out on a date, and there's a difference between going out on a date and testing it and seeing, like, do you like this guy? Does he vibe with you? Is the humor there? Is the, pursuing side of things there? Like, is he manly? Is he, like, all these things that you look for in a man. That is normal. Like, you can go out on a date and test it and see, whatever. But it also goes to prove why we should be waiting to have sex until marriage. When you introduce sex into a relationship, like, first thing, you're kind of automatically tied to that person because you have those soul ties, you have those emotional ties, and now you're kind of like locked in with that person. Like, even if you don't like them, you're like, well, I kind of already went too far with you, so I kind of have to stay. The amount of DMs and like messages that I've received on social media of girls being like, well, we had sex like within the first few weeks of knowing each other. So we started dating and like, I can't get out of it. Yes, you can. The literal door is wide open for you to leave. Like, that is just proof enough that God created sex for marriage, because that is something that binds two people together. It makes two people one, literally speaking, it does. With that being said, it's literally proof that we should be waiting until marriage to have sex. Now, with that being said, if you were going on dates and hooking up with every single guy you were going on dates with, that would be like, oh wow, Cassidy, like, you have some heart issues and like you're kind of screwing around. But if you're going out on dates and kind of like, hey, like, I'd love to get to know you more, and then you get to know each other and you're like, yeah, I think we should just stay as friends, but like, I love to get, you know what I mean? Like, that is a different narrative because we're doing it the Christian way. We're doing it the way that God intended, and that's okay and that's normal. Like, we should be normalizing that. In this culture, in this day and age, we fight so hard to have control. I'm the first one to literally admit I fight for control every single day. The moment I wake up to the moment I go to bed, I am fighting for control. I want everything to go my way. Like, if it doesn't go my way, then I start freaking out, then I start panicking, then I start having anxious thoughts. It's a downward spiral. I just want to take life by the reins. I want to take everything I do in life and be like, I want it to go my way. I don't want it to be awkward. I don't want it to be weird. I don't want it to be anxious. I don't want it to be any of these things. Like, I just want it to go my way. And the truth of the matter is when we as Christians start taking life by the reins and like forcing it to go our way, we're kind of pushing God's way out of the way. We're kind of saying like, I don't care about what you have for me. I don't care about the life that you've already planned out for me. I don't care about what you say. What I say goes, not what you say goes. And that's a scary place to be because now you're playing God. And I don't know about you, but like, not for me. I do not want to play God at all. We actually need the mindset change of I want to control everything to I want to control the narrative. And this is an interesting topic that's kind of come up in my life recently of like, I could say an array of things on social media. I could go to social media and air out so much, whether it's friendship stuff, whether it's guy stuff, whether it's ex stuff, whether it's whatever. And I have a story, I have a truth, I have things that I could be sharing, but I'm not going to because I control the narrative. And I think that is so much more power than trying to control everything. The truth of the matter is this. I could sit here on this couch and I could say, I control every aspect of my life. I know I'm going to go eat for lunch. I know exactly who's going to come over to my apartment. I know who I'm going to allow in my apartment. I know what temperature I leave it on in this apartment. I know what bills I pay. I know what I'm going to buy on Amazon. I do everything. I control everything. But in a blink of an eye, I don't. In a blink of an eye, my mom's rushed to the hospital. In a blink of an eye, a parent loses a job. In a blink of an eye, your life comes crumbling down in ways that you never thought it would. That's how we know that I have no control over my life. And it's a very scary and sobering thought because, to be quite honest, I've always fought for control. With being an anxious person, you always fight for control, right? You always like make sure that you sit by the door in a restaurant. You always make sure that you see the trash can because if you have to throw up, because I have emetophobia, you always know where the trash can's sitting at all times. You know what I mean? Like, there's always things that you want to control, or like, I need to take medicine, or I need to take CBD, or whatever you take for anxiousness. I'm always the one that's like, I need to control the situation. I need to be comfortable. I need to not eat after this time. I need to whatever. You know what I mean? So I'm one to talk of saying I need to control everything because I really do take a lot of things in my own hands where like sometimes I sit back and I'm like, I do not need to be gripping this so tight. Like I am white knuckling something. And the truth is that when we white knuckle something so hard, sometimes the Lord's like, release it. And we don't. And he's like, release it. And we still don't. And he's like, if you don't release that, and then finally we do, and we see the fruit of it, and we're like, if I only released that so much sooner, you know what I mean? Like, that's crazy. So when we change that mindset to, I want to control everything, to I want to control the narrative, I think that's even more powerful because now we get to control what leaves our mouth and what doesn't. That is so powerful because like in the verses in the Bible, like our tongue can control a situation. Meaning I have to be very careful about what I say to somebody. I have to be very careful about how I word things, right? Like if I go to respond to somebody and it's a conflict or it's something that like somebody's bringing to my attention and they're upset about, I will literally wait until the end of the day to respond. And I know that's so bad of me. And like people are like, I need a response right this second. I need to hear from you right now. And I'm like, I need time to pick and choose my words very wisely because in the heat of the moment, I could say something and it's not good. Like, and I regret it, you know, and I don't want to regret what I say. I want to say something that I really mean, but in the heat of the moment, I might be angry. I might be feeling really, really jealous. I might be feeling all of the emotions. I'd rather respond to you when I have time to collect my words and think about what I'm saying, because truthfully, I could say something in the moment and then hours later be like, it really wasn't that big of a deal. Or, you know, I really didn't even mean that. Or, you know what, I wonder if she meant that this way. If you're looking for a time to respond to a message, wait till the very end of the day where you've had time to digest it all day, right? Like, who wants to get into an argument and then by the end of the day, you're like, wait a minute, like that would have all been avoided if I just would have not gotten so angry. And you know what I mean? I think a lot of conflicts could be avoided by that. But when we control our tongue and we control, and this is the funny part, is that Unless you have like a condition where you cannot control your tongue, you have the power to control your tongue. That is one thing that you have the power to do. Meaning, you can't be like, Cassidy, well, I just get so angry and I have anger issues. Trust me, I'm a very angry individual, and I know that it doesn't show, but catch me in the kitchen when I stub my toe, I'm angry. Catch me when, devices fail, my phone dies in the middle of recording, or, certain things aren't working the way that I want them to, I'm livid. Catch me when I'm driving. I have really bad road rage, of what I've been told. Not really bad where like I'm going to get out of the car and say something to you, but I'm definitely going to give you a look or two. I'm a very angry individual, and I have my dad to thank for that, so thank you, Lee. I am just very easily tempered. And with saying that, there's a lot of things that people do where I'm very sensitive, right? I'm a very sensitive girl, and I can admit that, and I'm very proud to say that, because I'd rather be sensitive and know that I have emotion than be so numb and cut off and be like, nothing phases me anymore, because I want to feel things, right? Like, even growing up, I faced a lot of grief growing up. Like, I lost my grandfather and my Nana all in 1 week. Like, literally in the span of like 5 to 6 days, if not 4 days, I lost them both. They both passed away. A year or so before that, I lost my great aunt, and from the same side of the family. And I just dealt with a lot of grief from that I had to deal and process as a very young girl. And I cried a lot. And starting out, I didn't want to feel it. I didn't like feeling sad. Like, I was I love doing fun things, and I love taking trips, and I love posting cute pictures, and I love doing all these fun things. I was that girl, right? Like, I loved that. And I love feeling happy. I love feeling excited. I never felt anxious. I never felt worried. I never felt depressed. I never felt sadness, anything like that. But to be honest, I would have felt it sooner if I didn't push away that feeling because I hated it so much, right? And when all that grief was going on, that's what I did. I pushed all the sadness away. I pushed all the grief away. Like, we lived states away from my grandma at the time, so I didn't have to worry about oh, I'm going to see her and we're going to talk about it, whatever. So I didn't really have to process it. So I pushed it off. For those months that I pushed it off, I was dating somebody at the time, and I remember pushing off the grief so much that he asked me a few times, at the very end of our relationship. He was like, "Are you okay? Because I just see you not connecting with God anymore. You're just not emotional as you used to be." And for somebody to tell me that I'm not emotional like I used to be, that's crazy, because I'm a very emotional girl. So the fact that he would even say that, I was like, okay, maybe there is an issue. And then I still didn't face it because I'm just stubborn. Thanks again, Lee. But when we have these emotions, when we have these really strong things like grief, we tend to push it off because we don't want to feel it. We don't want to deal with it. We don't want to tackle it. We don't want to talk about it. Talking about it was the last thing that I wanted to do. But then as soon as I started talking about it, started healing, asking God for healing, asking God for provision on how to proceed with healing, that's when I started feeling peace. That's when I started feeling in touch with my emotions again. And truth be told, the longer that I pushed off the grieving process, the longer that I pushed off healing, the more that I pushed off people in my life that were really important to me. I lost a lot of relationships. I lost a lot of friendships. The sooner that I dealt with it, the better it became. The more peace that I felt from it, and the more clarity I found. And all of that to be said, the sooner that you deal with these emotions, right, the faster that you find healing. And the faster that you find clarity on how to approach a subject. So let's take the breakup, for example. I talked a little bit about it in the first episode of the podcast, but as far as healing has gone, it has been an interesting ride. I think my body felt the breakup coming before it actually happened. And that's a scary thing to say out loud, because it's almost like mentally I was done before it was actually over. And that's kind of embarrassing, because you never want to mentally check out of a relationship, because you still want to see it all the way through, right? In every single relationship I've ever been in where someone's like, "Oh my gosh, how do you feel about it? Are you going to break up with him? Are you going to whatever?" I've always, my standard answer for any question like that has always been, I want to see it through for me. I don't care if, my parents have a different opinion. I don't care if extended family has a different opinion. I don't care if my friends have a different opinion. Of course, if it's an unbeliever and they're like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, okay, that's fair. But I mean, if a person has an opinion and they're like, "What are you going to do about it?" I'm like, I'm not going to make some drastic emotional change right this second. I want to see it through for me, because months down the road, after it falls apart, I'm able to say without a shadow of a doubt that I gave it my all. Because truth be told, I would much rather say I gave it everything I had, 110%, and it still fell apart, which means that it wasn't God's timing and it wasn't from God at that time, right? We can force something to look like God's timing, but we have to keep up with it, right? Because what we make with our own hands, we have to keep up with our own hands. I experienced that in high school where I was dating an unbeliever. I don't even know if you call it dating, talking to, had a situationship with, I don't know. And I made it into what I made it into. I was like, oh, we're together. We're going to get married. We're going to do all this stuff. Like, I fell hard. Cassidy fell very, very hard for this guy. And I was putting it together with my own hands. I was like, yes, it's going to be yes. It's going to be yes. And God was like, what are you doing? My friends were like, what are you doing? My parents were like, what the heck are you doing? And I kept on, like, I kept keeping it up. For months, I lost myself. And having to keep up with that crap. Because let me tell you, keeping up with his location, keeping up with his Snap score, keeping up with his text messages, calling him nonstop, making sure that he's not hanging out with another girl, he's not texting another girl on his Instagram, checking what pictures he's been tagged in, all of these things, it's exhausting. It's literally a full-time job. And so I hated it. I literally hated it. But I had to keep it up. In order to have something work out that you have made, you have to keep up with it with your own hands, right? Obviously, as a physical example, I could say like the podcast. Like I could sit here and be like, oh my gosh, the podcast is launching December 1st. And then I don't record, I don't make audio, I don't edit, I don't invite guests on, I don't plan, I don't post on social media. Like, what are you doing? Like, you have to keep up with it, right? Like, you made it, you have to keep up with it. It's the same thing with like relationships that you force to be a thing and something that you force out of God's timing. It's the same thing, because now I have to play God in upkeeping something that was never in God's plan to begin with, because something that comes from God, we don't have to worry about upkeeping it. He will take care of it. Like, he is a provider. He will take care of what he wants to come in your own timing. Can you imagine God being like, oh my gosh, here's a man of God for you. I want you to have it, but I'm going to make it, all these things, like all these trials, tribulations, all this stuff, and I'm going to leave you and let you figure it out. Bye. Can you imagine? Like, God would never do that. There will be so much peace that comes with a God-centered relationship that will never even cross your mind. Like, the trials, the tribulations, all that stuff, like, you won't even have to blink an eye because God's got that covered. But when you do something outside of his timing, you're playing God, and you're like, no, I got this. I can keep it up. And then you're all of a sudden working a full-time job taking care of this guy, and all of a sudden you're doing all of his social media work and being a social media manager when he never told you to do that, but you have to do that to make sure he's not cheating on you. The constant upkeep to make sure that somebody isn't cheating on you should be studied, because that is insane to me. Like, absolutely insane, because I'm never settling for something that I'm questioning. But getting back to the whole, like, what I can control with my narrative, the narrative is important. With this recent breakup, I have had to control the narrative, because I've met with friends, I've rekindled friendships, I've talked to family members, I've done all these things. And I have the power of my tongue to say a variety of things. I could tell them how I'm feeling. I could tell them what really went down. I could tell them how I'm feeling now. I could tell them, what I think about this person. I could tell you, things that we faced in our relationship that really made me angry and all these things. But the truth is that just as I could sit here and tell my friends and my family something, he could go and do the same exact thing to his friends and family, because neither of us are perfect. But I still have respect for him enough to be like, I'm going to control the narrative. Instead of spreading lies and be like, oh, I'm going to boss up and like, oh, screw you, like all this stuff that is normalized in today's society. Like, even in the car, I was playing Tate McRae. I love Tate McRae. I do. But I was playing her ex's song and I was like, I'm getting into him singing it like as I should, like whatever. And then I'm like, but at the same time, can we just normalize a healthy breakup? Like, yes, you might not talk anymore and you might not be best friends and, you might have to get disconnected on social media. But at the end of the day, you truly want what's best for the other person. You pray for the other person. Like, I can tell you right now, I pray for him all the time. Anytime that he pops into my mind, instead of thinking something ugly, instead of having the worst set out for him, I take the time and I pray for him right then and there, because I want him to find somebody who loves him better than I did. He deserves somebody that loves him better than I did. He deserves that. And that is like the true love that comes with respecting somebody, but also controlling the narrative. When we control the narrative and control our tongue, we control the outcome. But when we try to control everything, it's frantic, it's panicked, it's anxiety driven, and nothing gets done. But our mental health goes to crap, right? I actually met with a friend a few weeks ago and we sat down for lunch and she was like, okay, so tell me all about him. Like, tell me the worst thing that happened. Like, tell me the tea. Like, I want to hear it. And I was like, well, there's not really much for me to say. Like, You know, our relationship obviously like didn't work out. Like the Lord was sending us in different directions, and you know, that's really it. Like there was just some things that we didn't see eye to eye on, but that's okay. And that's him and that's me. And, you know, it is what it is. And she was like, yeah, but like there had to be something like crazy that happened, right? Like he cheated, you cheated, like, or there was some other girl involved, there was some other guy involved. Like what happened? Like tell me all the tea. And here is a really important factor that you need to consider when sharing information post breakup, because I have gotten in a situation where I'm like, I do not need to be speaking about this to this said person because I don't fully trust that person. And if this were to get back to either my ex or get back to somebody else and then bring it back to him, or if it was just to go around in general, it would make me sound really, really bad and put me in a really uncomfortable position, right? You have to be very careful with who you trust during your breakup process. Now, if you want to go out with friends and you want to rekindle friendships and all this stuff, that's fine. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the conversations that you have with these people. Your inner circle are going to be the ones that are around you, that are building you up, that are encouraging you, that are telling you, like, you've got this. I can count on this hand right here the people that are my constant encouragers. Those people were there for me when me and my ex broke up. They were there for me during the healing process. They would be there for me right now. If I called them right now, they'd either text me and be like, hey, I'm busy, but I'm here for you. What's up? Or they'd be like, hey, what's up? Or they answer and be like, okay, hey. Whatever it is, they'd be there for me on the dime. And it's only, I don't even think it's 5. I think it might be under 5. But I know those people have my back. And those are the people that I told intimate details with. Social media, the internet, friends, no matter how big your friend circle is, those people do not need to know the intimate details of why you and your ex broke up or about your breakup or whatever. These intimate details belong to you and the other person and who you trust in your inner circle and your family. Period. I know exactly how it is. After a breakup, you're like, okay, wait, I'm really sad and I'm crying and I'm emotional. And then the next day you wake up and you're like, wait, I'm angry. Like, I'm so angry. Like, he could have done this and he could have done this. The next day you wake up and you're like, wait, it was all my fault. Like, I should reach out. I should try to make amends. Like, whatever. It's a cycle. It's the grief cycle, but it's also a breakup cycle. It's normal. I've been there. Many, many, many other girls have probably been there too. But this is what I want to encourage you with, is that after a breakup, right after a breakup, take time and pour into the circle around you, the intimate circle around you. Like, I remember when we first broke up, I was like, what am I going to do? Like, I'm going crazy. Like, I am not going to have any friends. Like, I'm done. Like, I'm just done. My social life is over. Like, whatever. And then all of a sudden things started to flourish because I started to reach out to friends. I started to reach out to my inner circle. I spent so much time over at Erin's house. You met her on the last episode. She's a doll. She's my sister / best friend / everything. But I went over to her house and I got involved with the kids. I was over there all the time. Like, I was literally meeting her almost every day. Like, hanging out with her and her husband. I was hanging out with her and her kids. Like, literally, I involved myself so much in other things that I got busy. But then when the night hit, that's when I felt it. So don't think like you can be busy during the day and then at night you're like, oh, I'm still going to be so happy and busy and whatever. No, girl. When you turn off the lights and you go to bed and you get yourself in the bed and you're like, and there's nobody around you, there's nothing to distract you, there's no social media keeping you up, now you've got to deal with that. Now you've got to heal. Now you've got to ask God for patience in the healing process, because that hurts. It hurts and it's real. And no matter which way, some people say like, oh, well, if you broke up with him, it doesn't hurt as bad. Or if he broke up with you, it hurts more. Or if he cheated, it's better because you've already mentally moved on. Whatever it is, I've heard everything in the book and I can tell you it hurts just as bad either way. I've been the one cheated on and it hurt so bad. And I've been the one to break up with a boy before and that hurt. And I can tell it's just different versions of hurting. You know what I mean? Like, it's not like, oh, this hurt more or whatever. It just hurts differently, I guess. The longer that you date, it will be harder to break up, but also it's harder afterwards because you now have to untangle your lives for 3.5 years. Like 3.5 years of memories. You know what I mean? Like, that is a lot of stuff you have to go through. But the important thing of it all is that you control your tongue about how you speak about the other person, because you want to hold that respect for them because you respect them. You spent 3.5 years with that person. Like, that is a big freaking deal. And you want to have respect for them. You want to have respect for their family. You want to have respect for their reputation. If somebody was to ask me like, hey, like, what do you think about this guy? And it was my ex and they were interested, I'd be like, you know what? He's going to treat you really well. He's a great guy. He's a man of God and he's great. And I wish you guys the best. That's what I would say. Or if somebody asked me about the relationship, whatever. Why? Because I took time to process all those emotions, right, that you feel after a breakup. I took the time, the dedicated time to process all of them on my own. so that now I can talk to other people and not be angry or hold any grudges or be angry or be upset or have any frustrations or anything. Now I can talk about it in peace because I took the time to heal. You don't want to heal by venting to all these people and be like, oh, sorry, I was just venting, or sorry, I need to get that off my chest. That getting that off my chest is for you and God. Like, that is between you and God. God needs that time to heal you in order for you to move on. You know, he does not need you to go on social media and tell thousands and thousands of people and be like, this is what I'm going through and it sucks and I don't know how I'm going to move on and all this stuff. No, you can document it. Like, I remember when we broke up, I was like, I need to document this, because in the place that I was in, I was like sobbing in my car. And it was late one night. I'd gotten back from church and I was crying. And I was like, Lord, like, I don't think I can get through this. I don't think I can ever date again. I don't think I can ever get through this breakup. Like, I am never going to be okay. And then here I am, and I'm okay. And I made it through. Like, I'm still making it through, but I made it through. And now I can look back on that video and be like, wow, like, that's awesome. Like, you know, I was able to reflect on that and, like, it's okay. Like, it's okay that I went through a breakup, and I'm strong. And I'm really proud of myself, you know? Like, I remember so many times being like, I could never. Sorry. Over the past few months, I was like, I can never process a breakup. Like, we can never break up. Like, I just can't do it. I can't do it mentally. Like, I'm going to fall apart. I'm going to be so anxious. I'm going to have panic attacks. I can just see it now. It's going to be so, so bad. And here I am. And I'm okay. You know? And life goes on. Life goes on after a breakup. Your breakup does not define you. It does not make or break your life. It doesn't. But when you put your trust in God and God telling you this is not for you, you need to move on, when you trust that gut instinct and you follow that, you will see the fruit of it. Because I can tell you, if me and my ex were still together, I wouldn't have friends that I have now. I wouldn't have time to strengthen those friendships. And even, I'm going to be completely honest with you, and she knows who she is. I could sit here and be like, I would much rather have my strong friendship than be talking to a guy that's wasting my time. You know what I mean? Like, I am such a girl's girl of, like, I would much rather have a strong friendship with a girl and, like, have a best friend than, like, be talking to a guy and, like, oh my gosh, is he going to date me? Is he not? I don't know. Like, that is just a waste of my time. You know what I mean? I just think it's really something cool, the mindset change of, like, instead of trying to control everything and trying to control him, what he's doing, how he heals, I just immediately assume that, like, oh, like, how he heals is going to be the same as I heal. So, like, he won't, you know, be talking to other people. I won't be talking to other people. He, you know, will do such and such, and I won't do that such and such. And, like, we're both going to do that because that's how, like, we both are going to heal. How he decides to heal is that's on him. Like, that's between him and the Lord. I have no say over that anymore. How he heals is totally between him and God. So we can't be upset, or we can't hold grudges, or we can't do anything, because that's not our place anymore. And honestly, I want what's best for him. So if he's healing the best he is, and he's, you know, seeing fruit from that, I applaud him. If he is in his healing journey and he is doing X, Y, and Z and he's feeling great about himself, then I want nothing but that for him. And I think that takes emotional maturity to genuinely want what's best for the other person, but also to want them to heal however they see fit. Like, if somebody was to be like, I want you to heal from this, but I want you to do it without posting on social media about it, and I want you to do it without talking to other girls about it. Okay, and, like, is there anything else that you're asking of me? Because that's a lot, you know? But I think it's just really cool how God has set up the healing journey of, like, I can go on social media and be like, I'm healing from this, and I want to talk about the truth that I found about it in the Bible. And there's another girl who pipes in and she's like, oh my gosh, I'm going through the same thing. That's so cool. Like, let's heal together. You know, like, that's such a sweet community that God creates and makes us know and trust and hope. Like, there could be another girl at the other end of this. It's like, girl, I was dating a guy for 4.5, 5, 6, 7 years, and I got through it and I'm okay. You know, I just also think with talking to family members and relatives and friends that might not be as close and people like that about your breakup, I fear that you may be inviting in an opinion that you never wanted in the first place, and that might shift your emotions to be like, yeah, you know what, you're right, and I should be mad about that, when no, we just got through the healing process. Like, you are fine. You do not need to be feeling like that, you know? And the healing process, like I was just saying, like, looks different for everybody. So, like, you could have, you know, somebody who is healing from a breakup and they are traveling. They are going nonstop. They're never home. They have to get out. They have to heal. They have to feel whatever. You could have somebody like that. Or you could have somebody that holds up in their apartment and they're like, I'm not going anywhere. Like, I can't get out. I can't go out. I'm nervous, or, you know, I don't want to go out. I am feeling anxious, or I'm really grieving, or I'm upset, or whatever. You could have somebody like that. Or you could have somebody who's like, I'm going to pour everything I have into my work, and they work really, really hard. They just dive headfirst into their work. Or you have somebody like me who's like, you know what, I'm going to make a change, and I want to do that to my body and to my health. So literally the breakup happened, like September, October is when we broke up, and it is now November, almost December, which is absolutely crazy. And I am in the best shape I've ever been in my entire life. Like, I am lifting weights. I'm Cassidy. I'm 23 years old and I'm lifting weights. Like, excuse me, if you know me, you'd be like, what on earth are you doing? Like, that is absolutely crazy. I never, ever, ever went near a flight of stairs. I never lifted a weight on purpose. I would never do anything strenuous. I would never walk anywhere. I would never like run anywhere. I'd never do anything like that. Somebody would be like, oh, are you ready to go like work out? Or, oh, do you want to come work out with me or whatever? And I'd be like, in your absolute wildest dreams, will you ever catch me doing a workout or anything? And here I am with an Oura ring, with a Garmin watch, with a new pair of tennis shoes made specifically for lifting, with running tennis shoes. Like, who am I? Again, another mindset change you have to do is like, oh my gosh, like this other person, and this other person, and this breakup. How can I better myself? How can I say, you know what? I need to better myself. I need to focus on myself. For the first time in 3 years, I need to better. I need to work on. I need to, encourage and pour into myself. What does that look like? It looks like every week making sure I go to church because I'm getting fed at church, making sure that you're getting emotionally and spiritually fed, right? That looks like weekly church. That looks like pouring myself into books and novels and getting, well-versed in the word, getting well-versed in, scripturally based content, whether that's like Christian books, whether that's commentaries, whatever that is. Another way that looks is like listening to podcasts instead of music. Don't be listening to, music that's like, oh, screw him, like, all this stuff. Like, don't be listening to that kind of stuff because that shifts your mindset into a place you don't want to go. And like that can potentially send you into a spiral. So be sure that you're listening and watching stuff that, is not triggering to you because it's really easy to put on Netflix. I can find a show right now and just click it and it would have something triggering in it, whether it's sex, whether it's, bad language, whatever it is. I can find it so easy on my TV. It's so easy. Another way is working out. I started a workout routine of every other day during the weekdays, which sometimes I go on the weekend depending, if I really want to, but I'll go and work out. So like Monday, I started working out with my dad. So find somebody to go, like find an accountability partner, like go with your dad, go with your mom, go with a friend, go with, somebody, a sibling, or go by yourself and go and like be a boss and go work out and take care of your body. Like what you eat matters. And coming from somebody who had an eating disorder for a very, very long time, I had probably dealt with an eating disorder for like 1 to 2 years. I know the importance of eating food, of eating, but also nourishing my body. Like, it's important to nourish your body. And when you get so caught up in like, oh, well, I'm just going to go eat a cheeseburger. I'm not going to eat right now. I'll be totally vulnerable with you guys. Within the past week, I've acknowledged that I'm kind of falling back into old habits when it comes to eating. And that's scary for me because I'm like, oh gosh, like I need to overly make sure that I have, I'm stocked here, right? Like I need to make sure that I have all of my nutrients. Like I have fruit to eat in the morning. I have eggs to cook in the morning. I have protein. I have, supplements. I have things that nourish my body because I can find myself if I'm anxious, if I'm dealing with anxiety a lot 1 week or whatever, I can find myself being like, oh, I'll just eat later. It's okay. Or no, I don't really want to eat right now. And the other day my mom was like, when was the last time you ate? And I was like, last night. And she was like, Cassidy, it's like mid-afternoon. What are you doing? And things like that keep you accountable for making sure that you're eating, making sure that you're taking care of your body, making sure all these things are so, so important. If it wasn't for people keeping me accountable, whether it's my friends, whether it's my family, I would be in such a dark place right now, especially like my relationship with God. It has grown so much and he's kept me out of that dark place, and I'm so thankful for that. But nourishing your body, taking care of your body, working out, keeping it as a temple, like your body is a temple. And the saying that got me through and is getting me through like training of my own body and working out and stuff is turning your one day into day one. Like I sat in my bed one morning and it was right after the breakup, and it was probably 5:30 in the morning. And I was like, and I'm watching a girl on TikTok actually, and she was like working out, and I was like, dang, like that is so cool. Like her body was like goals, and like she's just kept up herself, and she's nourishing her body, like working out hard. Like that's so awesome. Like the muscles are muscling. And I was watching her, and I just sat in bed and put my phone down, and I just looked up at the ceiling, and I was like, maybe one day. Like I won't do that right now. Like I'm going through a lot, and I have a lot on my plate, and I'm dealing with work stuff and whatever. And I just sat there, and I was like, no, but this needs to be day one. This is day one that I could change for the better. And sure enough, I got my butt up out of the bed, put on a workout set, went down to the gym, worked out, and fell in love. I was like, what am I doing here? Like, I love running. I love all of a sudden working out, like actually doing weights. My dad, actually, shout out Lee, he used to be a bodybuilder. I say bodybuilder, but like professional, like he would compete and stuff. And he was a big dude back then. Like he's still a big guy now, but like he was a big dude back then. And I texted him one morning and I was like, would you want to come work out with me one morning? And he's like, we've talked about it. You know, like I've mentioned it to him before of like, you should come work out with me one morning. You know, like you can come hang out and we can kind of casually work out. And he's like, no, but I have work, so I can't. I was like, oh, that's true. And, he would go in early and I would be in early, whatever. And I was like, what if we both like woke up early? And he was like, I'm up early. And I was like, I'm up early. So we came down. We started coming every morning at 5:30 or 6. And we were down hitting the gym every other morning. That's what we were doing. And so now we're on a set schedule of Monday, Wednesday, Friday. We're hitting the gym. And today, like, this is so cool, you guys. Today, I took pre-workout for the first time ever. And I was like, this is going to send me into a spiral. Like, I'm going to be super anxious, whatever. I took it and I was like, wait, this isn't like really doing anything. And we did our workout for 30 minutes. My dad was like, okay, I need to go. And he's like, are you going to walk me out? Like, I usually walk him out and then I come back up to my apartment and like, I'm done working out, I stood there and I was like, no, I don't think I'm done working out. And he's like, okay, well, you do you. Like, take it easy. Like, be careful, whatever. And I was like, okay, bye. And I hugged him. Like, we said, love you, whatever. And he left. And I turned around and all of a sudden the pre-workout hit. When I'm telling you guys, I was like bouncing off the wall with energy, not in a bad way where my heart was racing or anything. I was just like very content in working out. I wanted to work out. I did full body on a back day. Like, what am I doing? Like, I was spent. My arms, my legs, I'm feeling it right now. Like, I am feeling, and tomorrow I will be sore. But it was the best feeling ever. So I stayed there an extra 30 minutes after our regular back set. And never in my wildest dreams would I have ever thought that I would do that, ever. Like, who am I right now? Like, I am in the gym working out 30 minutes after my 30-minute workout. Like, it's just so crazy. And so stuff like that like you have to build up, right? Like, I'm not gonna tell you that you're gonna wake up one day and like, oh my gosh, I love the gym. Like, it took discipline over devotion for sure. Like, there's some mornings where I woke up and I was like, I don't want to go. And Dad's like, I'm on my way. And I'm like, ugh, I have to get up and go let you into the gym. But then I'm already in the gym. You know what I mean? Like, so I had to go. But after a while, I'm like, wait, I actually love this because I'm seeing results. My body, like, I love the way my body looks. Like, I've never really like had an issue with like body dysmorphia or anything. Everybody has things that they like to change about themselves. I can name off, 5 things that I probably like to change about myself. But has it ever created like a really, really bad like insecurity about myself? No, I've just never let it get that far. But I love the way that my body feels, my body looks. I feel healthier. I look healthier. Like, I get so many comments of people that know me, like my friends, my family, or people like on social media, and they're like, you're glowing. Like, you are glowing. And it's like, yes, I'm glowing because A, I bleach my hair and I look better with blonde hair. B, I'm also glowing because I'm taking care of myself. For the first time in years, I'm actually taking care of myself. And that's not because of a relationship or it's not because of a breakup. It's because I finally, for the first time, chose myself and chose to take care of myself without making an excuse for anxiety. And I want to put this very lightly because I don't want to like harp on this and make this like a topic of conversation for myself or the podcast or whatever. But for years, I used anxiety as a crutch. And within the past like year or two, I finally got out of it by medication, by CBD, by therapy, things like that. But finally, I made the adjustment where I was like, I don't want to use anxiety as a crutch. I'm not able to, go hang out with friends anymore. I'm not able to go to dinner with friends. I'm not able to go on trips and fly and whatever. And now, all of a sudden, years later, I've decided to put myself first. I've decided to not use anxiety as a crutch. Because if we're being honest, I can sit here and be like, well, I don't want to go on this work trip because I might get anxious and I might get sick. And, and then it's all game over if I get sick. Okay. 2 years ago, if you would have sat Cassidy from 2021 down, I know that's 3 years ago. If you would have sat Cassidy from 2021 down and you would have said, Cass, I have to tell you your future. And she would have been like, okay, is this God ordained? Like, we're not manifesting, are we? Like, I would have checked it out. I would have checked you out. But if you were like, Cass, I need to tell you your future. You are going to be going places. You're going to be doing crazy, crazy things. I'd have been like, okay, elaborate. And you're like, you're going to be getting on a plane once a month and for about a week, and you're going to be going on work trips with work people that you don't really know that well, but you trust, and you're going to come to love them as family, but they're colleagues. And you're going to be getting on the plane, and you're going to be going. And it's going to be crazy destinations. It's going to be like in the middle of Texas. It's going to be, out in Michigan. It's going to be Ohio. It's going to be DC. It's going to be all these crazy places. And I've been like, yeah, okay. I cannot board a flight right now. I'm nauseous to my stomach thinking about it. And I have extreme anxiety. And I'm never going to make it through. I'm going to have a panic attack, all these things. Like, I would have definitely used that as a crutch to feel more comfortable in my own home, right? Or if you would have said, Cassidy, by 2024, you're going to be moved out. You're going to be living on your own. You're going to be in your own apartment. I'd have been like, okay. Well, what else you got for me? Because that sounds like a lie. Like, I could never move out. I would have a panic attack and I would be throwing up all the time or whatever. Well, here we are. I'm in my own apartment. I'm paying my own bills. This is my own couch I bought with my own money from the job that I travel about once a month for. And I'm alive. And I'm not panicking. I'm not anxious. Nothing. Now, I deal with anxiety. Let me take that back. I'm not anxious every single day of my life, whatever. I deal with anxiety, as everybody does in their own form of fashion, correct? But I'm living my life. And I'm okay. And what's beautiful about it is that God takes us from a place of like, I could never do that. I could never. I would absolutely like pass away. I'd throw up. I'd be anxious. I'd have a panic attack. Okay. Say you did. And I was actually just telling a friend this the other day. I was like, say you did. What would be the worst thing to happen? Well, I'd throw up. Okay. I've thrown up in a restaurant with a guy that I was eating lunch with, like a friend. I've thrown up all over the booth, all over the table, everything. I've thrown up in public before. I've thrown up, I can't even tell you the amount of times I've thrown up in public. Like, and you were like, oh my gosh, Cassie, that's so gross. Yeah, it's gross. And it's also freaking humiliating. Like, I've done things that are very humiliating and very anxiety provoking. I've had panic attacks in the worst timing possible. But it's beautiful to see it go from that to something that you cannot control, that's beyond your control, and that's like anxiety, to praying for years for healing and God bringing you through and to something and being like, trust me, go through it. Trust me, go through it. You go through it and you're like, wait a minute, like, this is my dream job. Wait a minute, like, I'm starting a podcast. Wait a minute, I'm doing something really scary. Wait a minute, I'm choosing me. Wait a minute, I survived a breakup. Wait a minute, I'm not having panic attacks anymore. Wait a minute, what's going on? Like, it's beautiful. It's all because of the work that God does in your life, right? If I got up every day and I was like, I'm going to do everything myself today, right back to the beginning of this podcast. If I was to wake up today and be like, everything is in my control today, I control everything. If that was the case, I did control everything right here, right now, I would not be recording this podcast right now if I had control over everything. Why? Because this morning I woke up and I had a podcast episode scheduled with my sister Erin, and she got here. We celebrated like our little podcast episode. We went over to recorded about 15-20 minutes of a podcast, and realized that my mic wasn't working. And we plugged in the mic, unplugged it, plugged it back in, realized that the mic was giving us issues. So then I had to be like, well, do you want to come back later? She's like, I can't come back today. Like, I have stuff going on, whatever. And we kind of cut it there. And I was like, wow, a day that I had perfectly planned out for a podcast episode, every single thing known to man goes wrong. And that's when I started to get frustrated. I started to get mad. I was like, God, why would you allow this? This was literally to glorify you. Why on earth are you allowing this to happen right now? And God's like, it's because it wasn't in my timing. Like, it was not the day to do this. White knuckling everything does not make it happen. It does not make it go our way. White knuckling everything says, God, I don't trust what you have is better. That's not okay. Like, that's not okay. God has better. My pastor this past week, he said, God never shows up empty-handed. And I was like, yeah. And everyone was like, oh, clapping. And I was like, And then later I was like, God never shows up empty-handed. All those times that I had panic attacks in my room, crying out to God, God showed up not empty-handed. All of those times that I was crying out to God for different things in my life, grief, relationships ending, whatever, God did not show up empty-handed. God is not empty-handed right now. He has immense blessing, immense things that he's going to bring into our life where we're going to be like, oh my gosh, like what? Like I did not even know. Like that was even like in the cards for me. I had no idea like God had that for me. And he's going to be like, I was holding it the whole time, but you had to release what I was telling you to release so that you could experience what I'm holding for you. When the realization hits up, like, if I would have let that go and let God take care of that sooner, I could have been in such a different place, or my healing would have come sooner, or I would have experienced freedom, or I would have experienced less anxiety, or whatever. Like, it is a very sobering and humbling thought. It is a very humbling thought. But at the root of it, it's beautiful because we're learning to trust God. But I really want you guys to understand that there is power not only in our tongue, but we have power also to take care of our temples and to take care of other people and to take care of ourselves. Like we have the power set in us because of who our God is, who our dad is, right? Like I am fully capable of going down to that gym and working out today because of how good my God is. I am fully capable of walking in freedom today because of who my God is. I am fully capable in knowing that I am worthy, that I am loved, that I am chosen, that I am beautiful because of who my God is. We are able to do all these things because of who God is. And that is the beautiful part, is that nothing that we can ever do, say, or, whatever, partake in will ever separate us from God's love, will ever separate us from having God as our Father, ever. So saying like, oh, well, I prolonged this because like I was so stubborn and I wasn't ready to give it up or whatever. Okay, it happened. It's okay. Don't beat yourself up. But also God did not expect for that to happen. There's been so many instances where my friends have been like, oh, I really wanted that to happen. Like it didn't, but I did this instead. And I'm like, why did I even do that? Like I regretted that. And it's like, you might regret that. And that's okay to regret something like that. But at the end of the day, you can't hold on to those regrets and beat yourself up over it when God literally planned for that to happen. Like, God's not scrambling and be like, oh my gosh, she decided to do this. And I don't know how I'm going to plan for this. And I don't know, like, I need to call all the doctors on deck and I need to whatever. Like, no. At the root of it, at the core of it, God is not surprised by anything that you bring to him. Instead, he is floored that you're bringing something to him, right? Like he's excited to take care of you. I just really believe for our generation in particular that we need to take care of us, that we need to take care of our bodies more, and we need to take care of our tongues more. Like what we say has weight. Like the amount of hate comments, hate DMs that I received during the election because of who I voted for. Like, why are we treating others like that? Like, why? The amount, I mean, when I tell you guys hate comment, I don't even think hate comments covers it. I really don't even think that. Probably like 1 or 2 death threats. And then mixed in there is just, I hate you. You're a terrible person. You're not a true Christian, all this stuff. And I'm like, just because I voted for someone different than you, same thing, same philosophy with other things too. Like people can hate on you because of X, Y, and Z. But at the end of the day, if you're showing Christ through every action, every word that you say, everything that you do towards another person, how you talk about somebody else, that's all you can do. Like that's all that you can do and stand firm and be like, I'm doing what I need to be doing. I'm bridling my own tongue. I'm taking care of my tongue. I'm being like, you know what? I'm going to love you. And that's all I can do about that situation, because if I were to speak about it, I might say something that I regret. I might say something out of turn that I want to take back later. And I don't know where I heard this from, but the saying goes something like, once it comes out of your mouth, it can never go back in. I always thought about that with conflict in relationships and friendships and with parents. Like I remember when I was younger, I remember this like yesterday. I was upstairs in my house and I was in the bathroom, and I think I was like, I don't know, like 9 or 10 years old. And I remember my mom doing something that made me so angry. And I turned around and I said, I hate you. I hate you. And I slammed the door in her face. And I remember staying there and I was so angry. I was like, this is it. I'm never talking to her again. I forget what it was. It was literally like the smallest thing. And me and my mom would laugh about it now, but like in the moment, like she probably cried. I'm sure I made her cry, and that's horrible of me. But I remember probably like an hour or two later, I was sitting in my bed and I was like, I probably got in trouble or grounded for that. And it wasn't voluntarily sitting in my room. I probably was sent to my room. But I remember sitting there and I was like, I probably shouldn't have said that. And I was like, can I take it back? No, I can't. I mean, that's engraved in my memory. Like I can never take that back. Like I can never undo that memory in my brain because of the things that I said. And so even during a breakup, even during friendship breakups, even during conflict, what comes out of your mouth is permanent. It is permanent ink to somebody. You can always be like, I'm sorry, I didn't mean that. But there's always truth in something that you say. Even if you're like over exaggerating, you're still over exaggerating something, you know? Like even there's truth to a little bit of a lie. There is. And if you're like, oh, I didn't mean that. And whenever I said this, and this about you, I didn't mean that. I was just being over dramatic. You're being dramatic about something that you feel that's the truth deep down. So it's important to make sure that you're monitoring what's coming out of your mouth because it has effect over other people too. And even with this election, I was like, wow, this is a hateful time to be alive. Like these people are hating on other people. And it's like, even if you believe something different than me, even if you look differently than me, even if you talk differently than me, I'm not going to hate on you. I'm not going to call you names. I'm not going to call you stupid. I'm not going to, cut you off from my life. Instead, I'm going to love you and I'm going to treat you like you're a human because you are, and you deserve that decency to be treated like a human. All that to be said, I know this was kind of a roundabout episode and we talked about literally everything under the sun, but I just wanted to encourage you guys with something that I've been feeling recently of like being careful of who I share things to. It's a mature state to be in, and it takes time to become mature in something. It takes time to build up muscles that you let be idle for a really long time, and getting in a routine of going to the gym, a routine of praying, a routine of being social, a routine of seeing your family, a routine of whatever. It takes time, it takes devotion, it takes discipline. But once you get in that routine, it feels good, right? At the beginning of working out, I was like, oh, I can't work out. Like I feel so bad and I'm so sore and everything. Now it feels good to work out because I know the end goal. I know how good it feels. So I'm like, oh, I'm ready to go work out, right? But if you would have told me at the beginning of this, you're going to be doing weights and you're going to be lifting and you're going to be doing dumbbells and you're going to be doing, the bar and everything, I'd have been like, yeah, okay, keep lying. That's a good one. But instead, I took care of myself and here I am. And so 2025 needs to be a year of taking care of ourselves. We need to devote ourselves to taking care of us, to choosing us. I don't want you to get years down the road in a relationship, in a friendship, and just your life in general and be like, wow, like for the first time I'm choosing myself. Or for the first time, like I feel like I'm myself, or I'm finally putting myself first. That's not fair. Even in a friendship, even in a relationship, even in whatever you go through, you're going to have moments where you have to choose yourself. You're going to have moments where you're like, I need to do this for me. And that's okay. You can't bottle up those feelings and always know that they're there. Like it will haunt you. Rest assured, I have felt my haunting in my days. There have been things where I'm like, oh, my gut's telling me this, or I feel like God's telling me this. I'm like, no, but that's not true. That's not true. That can't be true. That can't be true. I cannot do that. I cannot live through that. Like that can't be true. And at the end of the day, God's like, well, is it true? He's like knocking at my heart. It's conviction. I'm like, no. Like it's just doubt. It's the enemy. Like it's all these things. But it's like, no, it's conviction. It's God. He's checking in. He's like, hey, I put this on your heart. How are you feeling about it? And I'm like, get out of my heart. Do not make me feel that way. And now I'm like, please enter my heart and take it over because it really hurts now. And like you let something sit for so long without giving it to God, it's going to start hurting. And it's going to be an open wound, sis, an open wound. And he is our caretaker. He is our pharmacist. He is our doctor. And there are some times that I'm praying and I'm like, Lord, I need a heart transplant. Lord, I need a blood transfusion because I need a heart surgeon for what I am going through. My attitude is nasty. I need some help. And so at the end of the day, I just pray for each and every one of you guys that you experience God's freedom, that you experience God's best for your life, whether that's in singleness or dating somebody. But I also hope that you experience what true freedom looks like and what choosing yourself first feels like, because it's a great feeling. And I can tell you without a shadow of a doubt, the first day that I was like, I'm choosing me was the first day that I truly started living. I started living without anybody else's, opinion in my ear. I only started living for God's opinion and God's truth rather than other people's opinion and my own truth. I started living for God instead of living for myself in the world. I know that's so cliche, but it's true. When you live to please others and please the world, you'll be stuck in this like roundabout of like, well, do they care about me? Well, are they approving and all this stuff? And I went through a breakup in silent. I didn't post about the breakup until a month or two beyond. And I only posted about it because people kept messaging us and messaging me and commenting and stuff and asking about it. I'm so glad that I took the time to deal with it, to heal a little bit before posting about it, because coming right out of the gate, I was a wreck. I was emotionally a wreck. I was, going through it. I was mentally all over the place. And now I can say with a clear mind that I got through it and I'm okay and I'm healing with an ing on the end. But it's beautiful. It's a beautiful season. I'm waiting on God to potentially bring me somebody, but I'm not going to sit here and be like, I'm waiting on my man of God. I'm waiting. I'm not waiting for anybody. I'm not waiting for somebody to pop into my life. I'm running my race. I'm going with the flow that God has for me in my life. And when someone matches that flow, when somebody comes into my life, I'm like, where did you come from? Like, they're matching my pace and they're doing life with me. And all of a sudden things start to kind of mesh together. That's when I'll know. And it's going to be beautiful, but it's all in God's timing. And I'm not going to rush it. I'm not going to sit here and be like, I'm waiting on God to bring me a man. Like, I'm not waiting on God to bring me a man. I'm doing my own thing. I'm thriving. I'm working on myself. I'm building a career. I'm building healthier habits. I'm, nourishing my body. I'm doing things in God's timing. And all of that being said, if you're considering a breakup and you're like, I don't know if I could do it, I don't think I can do it, whatever, I know that you can. You are strong enough. You are so strong. If I can do it, you for sure can do it. I also, just as a disclaimer, I don't want to say like choosing yourself when you're like, oh, so choose yourself over God. No. I'm just saying choose yourself rather than pleasing other people. Because to be honest, when you go to bed at night, you are living your life in your own body, not anybody else's body. You only have one life. So it's literally you. At the end of this life, it is you. It is quite literally you. And with that being said, you have to take time to work on yourself, work on your body, work on your goals, your mindset, everything. And it's fun, actually. It's fun being single. And it's fun, like, taking the time to work on yourself and doing things with your parents and having, like, really good friends that you never thought, like, oh my gosh, I never thought I'd have a friend like this. Like, no, it's fun. And it's something that I think God blesses single people with. I know a lot of single friends, and they're like, I have such great friends. I have a great community and everything. And not saying that you can't when you're dating, but it's a blessing when you're single because you appreciate it more. Yeah, I'm excited that you guys sat down with me today and that y'all listened to me just yap on for a little bit. I just have had that on my mind for a little bit of just controlling your tongue and learning about healthier habits and stuff. And, coming up in the future, I'd love to talk about deeper healing and what that has looked like in my life and maybe like what my workout routine is and things like that. That will be so much fun. But for now, we'll stick to a podcast setting. And so this was episode 2. No, this was episode 3. I need to keep track. I need a number counter on the wall or something. This was episode 3 of Not For Nothing. I'm so excited that you guys joined me, and I'm so excited that we drank a Coke together. And if you didn't, it's okay. I forgive you, but bring your bottle next time because we'll be cheersing. I need to work on an outro. Maybe let's come up with one together. Well, that's all for today's episode. I hope you enjoyed sitting down with me and sharing a Coke or a drink or a soda or a water. I don't know what you guys are into, but I hope you guys enjoyed this episode, and I will catch y'all on episode 4. Just remember, everything that you go through in life, every trial, every season, every valley or mountaintop that God walks you through is not for nothing.